The grapevines are starting to pop. Got all their leaves coming on. I wanted to show you something other than just those. I've heard a lot of people talk about trimming grapevines too close. Mostly these are people who are growing grapevines for the first time, and they're concerned about whether or not their grapevines are going to survive their amateur trimming. Now if you look here, you can see the dead branches. There's a bud coming out on this one, and there's a bud coming out off of the wood over here. Now if you look behind it, what's this bud? Where did that come from? Yes, there's a branch there, but it's coming out of the base, okay? If you go along the branch a little, coming straight out of the wood right here, okay? Go along the branch a little. Again, there's dead wood right here, and there's new growth just popping right out. And it does that all along, and that's actually one of the things that I have to do in spring, is not necessarily break those off, but make sure that they're not coming out in inappropriate places, such as right here. Okay, now this is a 4-year-old vine. It's got 2 main stems, just because that's the way it grew, and I didn't think to change it at the time. But, look, right down there. There's no branch there. There's nothing for it to come out of. I'm going to snap that off, because I don't want a branch growing right there. Same thing up here. I don't want a branch growing here, so I'm going to have to snap those off, or we'll have branches growing out in both directions. Snap this off right here. Okay. Now I'll have to do more on the other side, but not very much. There is a start coming off right here. I don't want that in the crotch. Okay. I'm going to take some of this off because, again, I've got the structure. I've got the main branches. I don't want new main branches coming off of the trunk. And that is pretty much a thing to watch for. I actually asked someone else to trim this last year, and I was thinking that they had trimmed it too much. Not too much for the plant to survive, obviously, but I was thinking that they had trimmed it too much. But this is all coming off of old wood. Okay. This one right here, it's coming off of old wood. This right here, it's coming off of old wood. So don't worry if you think you've trimmed your grapevines back too much. I think one person that I know actually did trim them back too much one year, but it took 2 years. It leafed out the first year, not very much, but enough. And then the second year it was back in full production. So grapevines are incredibly hardy. They are going to do what is necessary to survive. And one of those is that they tend, and it's a tendency, it's not just a one-time thing. I've already trimmed this one. They tend to branch off of dead wood. Now, not dead wood, but old wood. This is the way that other vine would have been trimmed. Okay, now I'm going to have to do some additional trimming, but you can see 1, 2 joints off of last year's fruiting wood, and I left 2 joints and got 2 leaf starts. Okay, same thing here, left 2 joints, got 2 leaf starts. So that is the way I normally train my grapevines. You can see this cluster up here that's got a lot of fruiting wood, and again, that wasn't in places where I intended to keep the stems, but I didn't cut them back far enough, and so now they're growing. Okay, so these are the interlocking grapevine, and yes, the form is a little bit unusual. I just did a couple of branches in either direction, and they're doing just fine. Actually, they fully fruited last year. I cut out a little bit of the plum tree to try and give them some sun, but we'll have to see whether that works this year. Anyway, these are the interlocking grape. Now I wanted to show you something else, so I'm going to pause this. Hold on. This arched up for a couple of years, and I wanted to do something with it. I've tried a number of different things, and everything pretty much died, but I figured that the grapevines were hardy enough, and once the structure is in place, they'll maintain their own shape. They won't necessarily bring down the trellis, because PVC isn't very sturdy. So last fall, I took a stem from an interlochen and a stem from a concord, and I put them in the ground. And I just stuck them in the ground, no rooting hormone, no special treatment. And as you can see, they are budding out. And it's going to take a little while longer because this is the first year. But even down here, where are you? Even down here you can see that they're budding out. So that has apparently been successful. I really won't know until later this season or early next season whether they're going to survive. There appears to be something, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. We had 2 grapevines right here, and we had to move them because when we put the soil in the boxes, they were just in the sandy ground underneath. And when we put up the gardens, we had to move them. And we put them back in the same place. All we did was lift. The major root mass was intact. All we did was lift so that they could be in the new soil. And they died. And nothing perennial that we have planted in here since has survived. So I'm excited to see these bud out. This is the first time that they've actually done this in this area. Annuals seem to survive just fine. It's the perennials that die. So we're going to see how these do, but I am hopeful. We've got buds on the top, buds on the bottom, and once this starts vining out, we'll train it onto the trellis. Now I'm not going to train it by vining it through the chicken wire. I'm going to train it by guiding it across the chicken wire and then tying it off. So that was the other thing that I wanted to show you, because I'm onto the subject of grapevines at the moment. I will talk with you later.